Ethiopian participation in ASEM is likely, although Somaliland statehood remains a possibility. The international community has praised the agreement made this week between Ethiopia and Somalia, with many hopeful it will put an end to the tensions that have plagued relations between the two countries for a year. The agreement, mediated by the Turkish government, includes Ethiopia's vow to preserve Somalia's territorial sovereignty, as well as the latter's agreement to allow sea access to landlocked Ethiopia. The two countries are scheduled to begin technical negotiations in February 2025, with the goal of securing a full agreement by June. The Ankara Declaration also ensures Mogadishu's consent for Ethiopian forces to join the impending African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, ASEM, which is set to begin next month. Somali President Hassan Sheikh's administration had earlier insisted that Ethiopia not be permitted to commit troops to the AU-led peacekeeping mission, the third of its type, until the Memorandum of Understanding inked with breakaway Somaliland nearly a year ago was retracted. However, the contentious Mao was not mentioned in the Ankara agreement, which left space for conjecture. Divergent views were expressed by analysts who spoke to the reporter regarding the implications of the agreement for Somaliland. Some claim that the Mao is inadvertently dissolved by Ethiopia's pledge to maintain Somalia's territorial sovereignty in exchange for sea access. Supporters of this viewpoint also contend that Ethiopia should quietly back out of the agreement because the recently elected government of Abdirahman Mohammed Abdullahi, ERO, is not as interested in it as the previous administration under Muse Bihi. According to other commentators, Ethiopia has not renounced the Memorandum of Understanding, but rather reached a deal with Mogadishu to ensure that it would let Ethiopian peacekeeping forces to participate in ASEM. They argue that Ethiopia now prioritizes its presence in Somalia over the Memorandum of Understanding, especially to combat Egyptian military influence in the Horn of Africa and the resurgence of al-Shabaab. Although the world has praised Turkey for facilitating the accord, concerns have also been raised regarding its expanding involvement in Somalia. In exchange for security and training, the two nations inked a military agreement in February that would give Ankara a sizable share of the profits made in Somalia's exclusive economic zone (EEZ). Even if they acknowledge that a de-escalation of tensions is a significant victory for the Horn area, some see the agreement between Mogadishu and Addis Ababa as a diplomatic catastrophe for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's administration. The Ankara Accord has been praised by the AU, UN, IGAD, ATMOS, and Washington. The United States applauds the agreement that Somalia and Ethiopia concluded, which upholds each nation's territorial integrity, unity, sovereignty, and independence while fostering cooperation based on common interests. We are grateful for Turkey's leadership in making this declaration possible. The departing Biden administration said in a statement, "We look forward to technical negotiations to allow Ethiopia to enjoy dependable, secure, and sustainable access to the sea for mutual economic benefit while respecting Somalia's territorial integrity. We look forward to continuing our close bilateral cooperation with Ethiopia and Somalia and encourage them to intensify their cooperation on mutual security interests, particularly the fight against al-Shabaab." According to recent rumors, the incoming Trump administration intends to advocate for Somaliland's recognition. During his inauguration ceremony on December 12, 2024, Abdirahman Ero, the new president of Somaliland, declared that his country will not beg for what is rightfully ours. On the same day that PM Abiy and Hassan Sheikh signed the Ankara Accord, former President Muse Bihi, who had signed the Memorandum of Understanding with Ethiopia 11 months prior, quietly handed over control to Ero. The new Somaliland president stated that the specifics of the Memorandum of Understanding had not been disclosed to his administration. He added that his government would negotiate with Mogadishu. Konstantinos Berhitsva, Ph.D., a geopolitical analyst and former AU anti-graft commissioner, projected that Hargeisa would improve relations with Mogadishu under the new administration, in contrast to Muse Bihi's administration. He thinks Ethiopia and Somalia both benefit from the Ankara Accord. Since the Mao, Somalia has exerted diplomatic pressure on Ethiopia on a global scale, but this effort is now over. According to Konstantinos, Somalia has no justification for intensifying hostilities with Ethiopia at this time. He notes that Mogadishu is under strain due to the escalating war between the Somali state of Jubaland and Mogadishu, which recently broke out in armed violence. Now more than ever, Hassan Sheikh depends on the Ethiopian peacekeeping forces' assistance. Additionally, until Somaliland's status under the new government is established, Ethiopia's only choice at this time is to re-establish relations with Mogadishu, Konstantinos stated. He believes that in order to stop al-Shabaab from getting stronger, Ethiopia and Somalia will both ignore the Mao for the foreseeable future. Konstantinos claimed that because of growing international pressure on both nations due to concerns about a serious crisis in the Horn of Africa, the agreement was unavoidable. Additionally, there is pressure from abroad to get Somalia and Ethiopia to comply. The Horn of Africa is home to military installations for dozens of world nations. The area will devolve into anarchy if Ethiopia and Somalia go to war. This implies that the world's powers will also disagree on the Horn's problems and may use their military bases as a proxy in conflicts. He declared, "This would be a major crisis." Konstantinos points out that the Ankara Declaration does not preclude Somaliland's recognition and does not contain clauses pertaining to an Ethiopian coastal military installation. There is yet hope for Somaliland. Its recognition as a state may be approved by the international community. That is not entirely excluded by the Ankara Accord, he stated.